What's up, Wargamers? Welcome back to World of Wargaming. I'm Isaiah. Today, we're going to piece together a crew of survivors for the Carniverse. So we need our book, we need our sheets, and we need our pencil. Now, the sheets for this game are somewhat difficult to acquire. It's difficult to find them online. I just haven't really been able to find a spot where you can just download the roster sheet. So luckily, one of my friends bought the PDF for the book and just printed me off some sheets from their PDF. Now, you do have the option, you can make photocopies from the core print-on-demand copy if that's what you have. But be aware that you might end up having to write it out on paper or in your book, or, again, make photocopies from the book. So the first step on our journey is to pick our leader. We have three options: the veteran, the doc, and the survival nut. I am going to go with the survival nut. So we're going to put in his stat line, which is AP 6, strength 3, or no, that's not strength. Strength is also 3 though. Dex 3, int 3, con 3, HP 4, BR 3, and leadership 4. He has special skills, resourceful. He has leader and resourceful. And I love that it gives you the page numbers for those things and where to find them in the book. That is a quality of life thing that I'm seeing more and more and more in rule books today, these days, and I absolutely love it. His skill paths include leadership, firearms, melee, and physical. Doesn't have an R in it. Physical. No injuries currently, and we start at level 0 if I'm not mistaken. After choosing our leader, and it is worth noting on battling back up to the leader part, you get 80 resource points to start with, and the cost of your leader comes out of that 80 resource points. That'll also include the cost of equipping and all of that jazz. Next thing we come to is our base, and in this game all bases start the same way. So we have a maximum team size of 6, we have 4 build slots, and we have a current upkeep of 0. Now that, of course, will go up as we play through the game, but nothing built at the moment, so that pretty much does everything. All bases start with the same 4 build slots, and that brings us on to the rest of the crew. And there are a few guidelines that you have to follow when you're choosing these. Obviously, you have to stay under that initial 80 resource points that you are allotted. You can contain any mix of military, science, and neutral keywords as you wish, the only limit being that you have no more than 2 of the same character type on your roster, and that military or science keywords make up no more than half your team, rounded down at any time. Your team has the maximum size dictated by your base, which starting out will be 6. So I'm going to go through here, look through these, make my choices. Let's take a look. We'll flip through, see what the options are real quick, and then I'm going to make my choices, and I'll show you what I pick. So the options are thug, civilian, survivor, cop, mercenary, prisoner, nurse, scientist, athlete, paleontologist, student, priest/nun, politician, scavenger, and kid. So I'm going to flip through. I'm going to look through these and think for a moment, and then I'll share with you what I decide to pick and the total cost that I'm at once that's done. So for my ragtag band of post-dinosaur apocalypse survivors, I've gone with a leader who is the neutral leader, which was, I wrote down the wrong word there, the survival nut. Let me change this. Survival nut. Accompanying him will be Callum, a paleontologist that they've scratched up, and as of yet unnamed mercenary, Max, who was a student athlete, Betty, who was a former nurse, and Joe E., who is just a ragtag, run-of-the-mill survivor type. Now, for many of these, or next thing that we will come into, are our equipment. Now, with a lot of these, some of these will tell you exactly what skill trees they have to draw from. Others, however, give you maybe one and then say you get to pick some others from, usually most of them say from anywhere except leadership. So I haven't chosen all of those skill trees yet because we haven't gotten to that part of the book yet. The next thing that we need to talk about is equipment. So when we are purchasing equipment, there are two things to keep in mind. One, that you have to pay the resource point cost of whatever weapon or piece of equipment it is that you're using. Two, you can have a maximum of 3 weapons, but there is no limit on the amount of general equipment that you can carry. And you must pay attention to the item's availability. Some items are marked with an NA, which we can see here. If it says NA, then you can get as many of them as you want for your group. However, if it has a number in that box for rarity, then that is the maximum number that you can have in your party or in your crew. So I currently have 22 points to spend on equipment. So we're going to go through this. Everybody has to have at least one thing. My goal is to try to give everybody a melee and a firing firearm type of weapon. But I'm also going to have to look at, I'm going to need some of the actual just regular gear as well. So I didn't get quite everything that I wanted into the mix, but I got the things that at least the models are modeled with. So Holden, our leader, is going to have a pump action. Callum will have a hunting rifle. Our unnamed mercenary will have a pump action or a sawed-off shotgun. Our athlete Max will have a club. He has a baseball bat. Betty will have a hunting rifle, and Joe E will have a deagle. That being said, let's move on to not special rules, but the skill trees. Here we go. So here are our skill path tables. There are 5 of them: mental, physical, firearms, melee, and leadership. And most of the character types that tell you get to pick them, they very explicitly say except leadership. That seems to be the one that you can't just pick up and go with. So I'm going to look through these, choose them out, and then we'll talk about the ones I get. So all of those have been chosen. Again, the leader, it pretty much tells you what you're going to use. It gives you all of his stuff. For Callum, he picked up firearms and physical. For our mercenary, they picked up firearms, melee, and mental. Our athlete picked up physical and melee. Betty, our nurse, picked up firearms. She only had one to choose. And Joe E., our survivor, picked up firearms and physical. And at that point, we're ready to hit the table. I clocked in at 79 of my 80 resource points used. The only thing that I maybe would do differently is not take the mercenary, but I want at least one solid heavy hitter. Like, I want somebody who has proper weapons training in the group. So I've tried to keep myself kind of balanced. I got some survival nuts. I got a scientist who should know dinosaurs pretty well. I got couple of heavy hitters, one heavy hitter, one sub heavy hitter, and then I've got somebody who can help patch us up. So with that, 79 resource points spent, base established, crew selected, we are ready to dive into the Carniverse. Thanks so much for tuning in, hanging out while we built up the crew for this game that I'm thoroughly excited to get into. I hope you have an absolutely amazing and nerdy rest of your day. And as always, I'd like to say a big, huge, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to our patrons who support us and pledge to us over on Patreon. You guys are the absolute best. If you enjoyed the content you saw here today and that's something that you would like to consider doing to help out the channel, go over there, check out the link in the description, check out the Patreon. There's a lot of cool stuff over there, including access to our Discord server. Talk to me, hang out with me, talk about our work, what we got going on in the hobby. some shout outs, all kinds of cool stuff. Check it out if that's something that you think you would be into. And regardless of whether or not you do that, I want you to know that I am incredibly grateful that you decided to stop by and spend part of your day with me today, rolling dice and pushing toy soldiers around. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And as always, may the dice be ever in your favor.